So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to get yourself to make sacrifices, big sacrifices to achieve super success. And this is something that I wasn't willing to do early on in my life. I didn't want to make a lot of sacrifices. In fact, even in the school days, I really didn't want to study that much. I didn't want to do homework. And I did not sacrifice the fun life for, let's say, a successful career. In childhood, that idea did not seem compelling to me. And I would always wonder how these kids who were doing really well were able to sacrifice all the fun conversations, mischief, all of that. And I wasn't willing to do it. But later on in my life, I started to notice that I'm giving up almost anything to build my company, to become successful, and to achieve my goals. So what shifted there? I want to talk to you about this because this will help you make the necessary sacrifices. If you are someone who resists making sacrifices, you don't want to do the hard work, you don't want to make any sacrifices, you don't want to skip the weekends, you don't want to work on the weekends, you struggle with a little bit of work ethic. It's possible that this may happen, and I struggled with it too. So I'm going to give you the keys to what makes a great work ethic and how do you get yourself to make the sacrifices, because ultimately that's what it's going to boil down to. Okay. And I don't really like the word sacrifice, but I'm going to explain it a little bit. Let's say you have a $20 bill. The reason you would let go of this $20 bill, you would sacrifice this $20 bill if you find something better than this. You're not going to sacrifice the $20 bill or $200 bill unless you're moving towards $2,000 or $20,000 opportunity or something, right? So the key here is that what you're going after has to be much more compelling than what you currently have. Otherwise, you're not going to give up what you have. So you're not going to give up your friend circle. You're not going to give up your habits. You're not going to give up any bad habit that you may have, that you may be trying to give up, or you just have those habits. You're not going to give those up unless there is something on the table. So, in other words, how much sacrifice you make depends on what's on the table. If you think what's on the table is worth it, you would give up a lot of your bad habits. And this happened to me when I was really young. This transformation happened when I used to be hanging out with my average, mediocre friends, smoking and drinking and partying and really not worrying that much about life. And then I went to France and I saw a lot of beautiful French women. I also went to Sweden. I went to several parts of Europe, and I started to keep seeing these really beautiful women. I started to see a whole new lifestyle. I went to Dubai. I saw some penthouses. I saw a couple of supercars. I saw the 5-star, hotels, 7-star hotels, everything all glam. CEOs wearing a couple of $1,000 suits, wearing shiny shoes, walking with a model-like beautiful European women next to their arm. And I saw all of this and I was like, I will sacrifice almost anything for all of this. This is what I'm willing to sacrifice everything for. And the bigger the prize is in front of you, the more you're willing to sacrifice. And you also see this in gambling. If there is a potential to winning it really big, you would sacrifice what you have. But it all depends on what's in front of you. And this is one of the reasons why my mentor, Dan Pena, has recommended that you go test drive your favorite supercar. You go have the nice dinner at a nice restaurant that you cannot afford. You go to a top, Tom Ford store or even Savile Row if you're in UK and try the suits there. You go on the top neighborhoods and you take a walk around the top neighborhoods, which is something I used to do in London. When I went there for a holiday, I would go around Mayfair looking at beautiful things, and I would see convoys of cars below, super rich guys' apartments, and I would just take a walk and I would just soak everything in, because you want to remind yourself as to where you are headed and what you're after. I visited this $7 million penthouse in Palm Jumeirah that was right on the ocean. And in that building, the top floor was the penthouse, and the lower floors, there was one footballer from UK who had just purchased an apartment in the same building. And when I visited the penthouse, this was, I think, a 7-bedroom penthouse, all ocean view, extremely beautiful on the Palm. I was like, I could push with this one. I could really, sacrifice a lot for this, to live like this. And then I visited an $11 million penthouse in Habtoor Towers. It's an area in UAE which has a huge, massive penthouse. I think it was 36 to 40,000 square feet penthouse. Usually big mansions are of that size. I think Drake's house is around 36,000 square feet. So imagine a house that big with lawn and everything versus a penthouse which is inside a building, 36,000 feet. And it was a 4-story penthouse. And the top story was a gigantic hall. It was just absolutely beautiful. I haven't seen anything like it. And the whole penthouse is panoramic. And you can see the entire Dubai skyline. It's absolutely beautiful. And the real estate agent who got us to view that property took us in the afternoon time so that you could see the daytime and you could see after the sunset. And the point of this exercise, why I visited these penthouses, is to program the mind, to remind myself that this is what it's about. Because it's very easy to say, I don't want the penthouse, or I'm not interested in the supercar. Because when you're saying it, it's just a word, penthouse. You don't have an actual visual picture associated with it, right? Even if you do, it's maybe a Google image. But when you go visit that place, you have a completely different perspective. And something shifts in your body, something shifts in your mind. And this helped me anchor myself, because there is a lot of the times when you're sitting on your desk in an enclosed room, you're trying to make phone calls, you're trying to do presentations, you're wearing a suit when you don't want to, for example. You're going to meetings and it's uncomfortable. You're pushing through all of this, and at that point, you may want to give up. And it's so easy to give up because you're just giving up all of this hard work. But when you have the hard work associated with something that you're moving towards, something like a penthouse or something, a beautiful vision that you have about your life. Could be a beautiful girl. It could be a whole lifestyle where you have the beautiful girl, you have nice suits, you living in penthouses. When you see that picture and you're associating with high-powered individuals and executives, and another exercise Dan Pena asked us to do is visualize, constantly visualize success, seeing yourself in the position you want to be in, constantly mentally, then it makes sense. Then you can say no to the silly bar, night out, or saying no to your friend who wants to visit you or who wants to talk to you. You can say no to a lot of things because you're saying yes to the penthouse. You're saying yes to being associated with multi-millionaires. You're saying yes to being the founder of a company, being a powerful figure in a region. You're saying yes to that. So when you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. because you've already said yes to something else. And these are the two choices that you would always have. And I had one of my ex-girlfriends. She was a Romanian model. She would look at me and my schedules and she would be like, how do you do this? And she said, I would never be able to get myself to do this, she said to me, because she loved going out on the weekends and everything. And I told her that you don't necessarily have to sacrifice anything. You can just enjoy life. Like, why would you? And she said that you don't even drink. It's really commendable, but I don't know if I could do it. And I said, you have to have a reason to do it. I have a very strong reason not to do it. So you have to have a reason. You can't just make sacrifices without any context or without any perspective. There has to be a point to all of this. Not everybody wants a penthouse. Not everybody wants a sports car, or at least they believe they don't want it. When it's not in front of you, it's easy to say, I don't want it. When it's not in front of you. I've rarely found anybody, and I've been around spiritual communities also, who saw luxury, who really was around luxury and didn't want it. Genuinely. I mean, there is no such thing. You would want it. You may say, oh, what's the point in a diamond watch? Go to a store, wear it, and you let me know. Okay? Because I used to think like that. What's the point? For every desire or goal, I had this attitude, and I developed this in the spiritual communities. What's the point? It's all going to go away. You're not going to be able to take it home. There is a point to it. And you will only know that point when you experience it. So you may not be in a position to buy one of these penthouses. Fine. But go visit. Go drive that supercar. Go and get a ride in a Rolls Royce. Go eat at a restaurant that you can't afford. This is coming from my mentor. This is what he recommended. And something will happen. Something will shift. Many times when I wanted to quit, I just closed my eyes and I saw the penthouse. And it was easier to see because I had been in it. I can no longer delude myself or fool myself into believing I don't want it. Because it's the easiest out. I don't want it. But when you visit it, you can't fool yourself. You don't want it. You know it. It's possible. You know it. People live like that. You know that too. Because when you enter into these places and you're like, holy shit, some people actually live like this. This is their default. This is what they wake up to. And then you think about, what do I wake up to? You look at a beautiful girl and you're like, somebody wakes up to her. And what do I wake up to? When I went to Sweden, Sweden's on the streets, you can see more beautiful women than actresses, Hollywood actresses, more prettier than Hollywood actresses you would see on the streets in Sweden. And when I saw that, I was like, somebody wakes up to that girl. And I'm willing to muster courage. I'm willing to take risk. I'm willing to sacrifice everything that I have around me right now for the life that I dream, life that I desire. So the point of the video is having a vision. Having a vision. You need something to sacrifice for, something that you value. And it has to be a vision that you create, something that you are interested in. Don't create something that your family wants. Okay, something that to do it just to please your environment. Create a vision from what you want. It's a very personal thing. Personal vision is something very personal to you. It's for something very specific to you. Create it. And don't just create line items. This is my recommendation, is not to create line items. I want a Ferrari, this, that. Create scenarios. Elaborate scenarios. Oh, I'm moving in my red Ferrari. I have so-and-so next to me. And I can see the vision. I can see the views. And I'm going there and I enter into the penthouse. Just write it out. Just write it out, create it, make it as colorful, descriptive as possible. and then go visit those places, something will shift in the brain. Now you have something to fight for. You have something to fight for. And all of a sudden, the weekend beer or, the trip to the bar, the trip to the restaurant is not going to make any sense, because then you are sacrificing the penthouse for a beer, and it's not going to make any sense. Then why would I? And I'm not saying don't drink. It's really it's up to you. But I'm just saying that all the time wasted, you would be giving up the penthouse in your mind. That I'm giving up the penthouse to do this. Do I really want to do it? And the answer is going to be no. Get off me. Everybody get off me. I have things to do. I have places to be. So that's the point of this video. That's how you actually get yourself to make the sacrifices, when you have something that you value to fight for, to make your vision, to make your dream into a reality. And when you have a vision that's compelling enough, when you have a vision that you value, it's not really a sacrifice. It's not really a sacrifice. It will not come across to you like a sacrifice. The things that I gave up, I didn't consider those things as sacrifices, because I was getting the whole world. I was getting what I wanted out of my life. So how is it exactly a sacrifice? It's not a sacrifice. When you sacrifice mediocrity to be great, that's not really a sacrifice, is it? Because what you have is great. Now there is going to be a gap, a period where you've left everything that you had and you're moving towards what you want, but you have this gap. This gap is a pain that you may have to endure to get what you want. And if that thing is compelling enough, it's going to work like a magnet. The vision, okay? And sometimes, a lot of the times, it happens sooner than you think. So that's the message on how to make big sacrifices to achieve super success. I'll talk to you soon.